Hello there folks, and welcome back to another short video of, well, what I decided to call the Wisdom Shorts. So this video now will focus primarily on the idea of the mind, and well, it's not the first video that I've been doing on the mind, so most likely I will be repeating some things. The topic of this video will be simply based on the idea of do not put too much power, okay, in the hands of your mind, because the mind is just a tool that you will be using in order to experience life as well, not necessarily as is, but it is only a tool that allows you to create certain meaning. The mind is simply a engine of creativity, as I call it, because the purpose of it is to simply create. It constantly creates, and the foundation that it uses to create is simply that which you feed it with through your eyes, what you see and read, maybe also, actually not maybe, what you see, what you read, what you hear, okay, what you watch, basically, be it video games, be it different genres of movies, cartoons and the such. All these together make a very powerful foundation for your mind to simply create on. And also the meaning that you attribute to things, because the meaning that you attribute to things can be very tricky to tackle. Once you create meaning, okay, for things, the point is you are creating a minimized version of those things, okay, because those things you will not perceive other than the meaning you have given them, okay. So the point with the mind is, as I've been saying, it's created and represented by thousands of layers, okay, layers and layers of the mind, each created by adding to it more and more knowledge, more and more meaning. And the more you add, basically, the more tools you give your mind to simply screw you up. One such situation, for example, is dreams. Dreams can be problematic because people can give them a lot of meaning, and of course for a long time I also kind of gave them meaning, in the sense that I would do so-called dream interpretations. Now certain symbols in dreams, especially if they repeat, they might have, let's say, a purpose, or there may be a pattern, okay, why they repeat. But mainly dreams shouldn't be interpreted, because the mind has the power to convince you over anything that you experience through it. That is why people who experience, for example, different hallucinatory states through drugs, they believe they have been in different states of consciousness, and there are a lot of such people who present all their points and thoughts on, parallel realities and the such. But if you have been feeding your mind with all these thoughts about parallel realities and the such, your imagination goes haywire much easily when under the influence of drugs and similar substances, because by putting your consciousness down, okay, your state of awareness, which is basically your life, okay, by putting it down or lowering it, let's say, you suddenly become more unconscious, which is basically like being dead in a certain way, and then your imagination is simply boundless. That is why anything that can happen, it will happen, okay, but it will happen in a hallucinatory state. However, the mind, as I've been saying, has the power to simply convince you that everything that you see is simply real. So the point about the mind is only use it as a tool of self-diagnosis, as I've been saying, because it will always tell you exactly what you have been feeding it with, because it can only create based on what you have been feeding it with, okay, through all sorts of genres of, I don't know, cartoons, movies, okay, your favorite things, okay, because basically it's a pinpoint of karma. Everything that you like and dislike is basically your karma. If you don't like bugs, for example, there is karma that you have created, or basically a memory. Sometime in the past you said you don't like bugs, and then you are faithfully keeping to that idea. It's nothing else than a simple point you've had. And every such idea that you put, okay, it's gonna be recorded in your subconscious mind, and it's gonna be a foundation of creation for you. So if you have a certain wish, for example, to become or to be, I don't know, more in tune with certain psychic powers and, explore certain gifts like foretelling, okay, then there is a little problem because, well, if you have several dreams, let's say one or two that happen in a way to become real, you might already be convinced by the mind that you have such a power, okay? Fortune telling powers. Then you might actually start believing it, and belief is accepting something without the need for proof. And once you believe things, well, that's a little problematic because beliefs usually tend to be even greater than creation, okay, and then life. Think about fanatics, okay? It's not important for them whether life is around them, okay? It's just that they have what, their belief, okay? They believe in a certain religion, they believe in a certain point, in a certain football team, in a certain music band or music genre. It doesn't really matter. The moment they do that, okay, they forsake themselves to life, okay, and life is also forsaken in their eyes because life simply doesn't matter. All they embrace is that one little thing which kind of brings of the box mentality, and everything else is simply discarded. Okay, that is also another power of the mind because the mind can easily focus on one or several things based on what your interests are. So if you're highly interested on a certain thing, you will feel as if, the flow of distraction, as I call it, simply kicks in, as if everything in life simply is like the universe is conspiring to help you. The universe doesn't necessarily conspire to help you, it's just that focusing primarily on just one thing or the few things that you like, everything else is simply discarded. So if it is discarded, it's like it's not even there. You can go to school, go to through some boring 6, 7, 8 hours, and after that, when you come home and you focus primarily on, let's say you've done your homework and then on your project or whatever you need to or you want to experience, then it's like the others simply didn't exist, right? It's like those boring school hours, okay, those boring school classes, the hours spent at school, it's like those never existed. So that is why people may have such experiences, okay? Don't forget that the perception of life shouldn't come necessarily through the mind because the mind is also a processor of the five senses. But our mind, which also makes a difference, for example, with spirits and ghosts, okay, the mind has the power to discern, okay? This discerning mind, if not taken control of, okay, if used unconsciously, it will keep creating things without control. So the problem is the more it creates, the messier it gets because everything has been structured and organized. Okay, that is why people who have great peace in their life, okay, they have made peace with their own mind. Okay, and it's not that you are in warfare with your own mind, it's just the simple fact that you're simply causing a lot of mayhem in your mind, and that's why your life can be chaotic. Okay, because once you start believing in something, you might start believing that you actually are that. Okay, so if you're having dreams that might actually happen, okay, to become real, dreams can become real. You just have to accept that as a reality, not as a meaning, okay, not as a potentiality. It is a reality. The fact that you dream that you will break a plate, that's not a problem because you can easily break a plate without dreaming of that, okay? And well, if you get trapped in giving meaning to thoughts, then you'll probably give meaning to the fact that you're some kind of, fortune teller. And once you start doing that, you're probably gonna get stuck in the fact that you really are, when most likely you don't have necessarily such gifts. And then who knows, how people's egos grow, and in time they become even broader and broader. They proclaim themselves as being better and better, right? That's how it's been throughout time because there were some people who suffered because of this, and they ended up believing that they are even communicators with the divinity, and then if you give them even more power, they believe that they are even creation themselves, okay? And well, that kind of is not a good thing because you can see that uh, religion in a way, and many other forms of fanatical attachment have really been to the detriment of humanity. So whatever be, don't give too much power to your mind, okay? The mind is just like a processor. But the difference in between your mind as a processor and the processor of a computer is that the processor of the computer and any cyborg humanity will ever build is that those do not have discernment. You cannot simply program discernment. You will always program something that will replicate it. But a replica will always be incomplete because it never had the memory, okay? When you create a robot, it cannot become a human because it doesn't have evolutionary memory. Okay, that is something that can only be created through experiencing. Okay, so think about that from the level of a virus to the level of us humans, the only living beings on this planet capable of experiencing life consciously, okay, fully consciously, okay, there have been billions of years of evolution. If you think you can simply build a robot and it will become suddenly conscious and aware, well, you're just fooling yourselves. So that is why I'm saying, well, one of the reasons why I'm saying don't give too much importance to the mind, because based on what you create, it will also multiply those thoughts if you don't have too much great care, okay, great care, I underline it, towards what you create and what you put out. All this being said, hopefully you like the type of content that I'm creating. Feel free to like and subscribe if you do. Feel free to leave comments below and tell me what you think I should improve. Tell me some of your points, some questions that you might have and you want some answers. Also, if you're a game developer or a game designer and you're working towards a project and you want someone to break down the project and conduct some game analysis, feel free to ask me. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Stay awesome. Take care. Ferenc Board signing out.